Oh, snap. Y'all smell that? Because, yeah, I smell success. What's going on, family? You are now listening to the Fitness Headspace podcast. This is officially episode 4, hosted by myself, Deion Avril from Evolve Fitness, where we get fit and we don't quit. And you know what time it is, y'all. Just want to thank you all personally for locking in with me. If you guys could share, like, comment, subscribe. If you're on any other social media, I'd greatly appreciate it if you do the same thing, because you know what we're doing. We're bringing nothing but knowledge, educating you guys in regards to fitness, lifestyle, and how to apply it on everyday life situations as well too. So with that being said, I do have about 10 different topics. Some of them were questions that I have been asked multiple times, so I thought it would be the best time to hop on here and let you guys know how I would approach it based on my experience personally. So we're going to dig right into it. The first topic, all right, is why is it important to complete a variety of exercises when working out? Okay. Now, this is a loaded question. I'm trying not to get super deep with a majority of these because a lot of them are straightforward, and I don't think that things that seem very simple as far as the question should be overcomplicated, especially for somebody that's brand new listening to it. Now, if we're more intermediate or in advance, of course, that makes sense, right? Pardon me. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go straight into it. The reason why, in my personal opinion, it's important is it's just for like literally everyday life situations. And for example, this is going to sound completely stupid to a lot of people, but if you have no upper body strength, you'll be surprised what you do with your upper body, whether it's lifting things, moving things around. And think about people on an everyday life that are moving, people that are picking things up for work. So for example, which is crazy, most people don't think about it this way. When you're applying for certain jobs, they make sure that you can lift and move around minimum 25 to 50 pounds of whatever it is. You get what I'm saying? So this is the perspective that on a base level, like foundation level, would make sense. Now, I'm laughing because this one hits home. Every gym has people like this, and I'm not judging them. I'm just pointing them out. All right. Not gonna lie. I'm gonna let y'all know what time it is. There's a tendency of people that like to work upper body and not work lower body, or vice versa, work lower body and not work upper body. Now, I'm not saying one is more important than the other, but I do think that it makes more sense to maintain what you have at the bottom, because that's what we need. You know, you're using your spine, your lower back, your core, your legs, everything. Basically, you're using everything. It doesn't really matter. But what I'm trying to explain is that it's still important to make sure that you have fully developed muscles all the way around. Now, there's going to be certain exercises that you're going to do that might not target certain areas on your body specifically, but because you're in that motion, when you're performing that specific exercise, it's going to engage that area. So, for example, somebody that's doing a squat or a leg press, leg extension, these all have to do with what? Legs, right? But if you really think about it and you're just conscious of, as you're doing a leg extension or as you're pushing the weight up or away in regards to a leg press, you're usually engaging your core. I would hope you're engaging your core. And if you didn't know that, that's definitely one of the cues that I'll always give any client, any friend, anybody that I know. Besides seat adjustment and all that, make sure you engage your core. Because if you have a weak core, your back is going to round. So when you come all the way down, your butt is off the seat. And that's not the proper technique nor form. So you want to be mindful of things of, okay, I didn't know I had to engage my core. And like he said, my core has nothing to do with my legs at this point in time, but it's still being utilized within this exercise, which your core usually is in general. So it's the same thing if you're doing a lat pull down or a seated row. Although it's working on your back, it's still engaging other parts. Again, like your core or, you know, the upper portion of your shoulders or your back, I should say, like traps and things of that sort. So although all of that doesn't matter, it's just to give you an idea that whatever you're doing, you're still going to end up using different muscle groups. So you might as well make sure that they're all balanced is the main thing. So me being a guy, my genetics, thankfully, I get legs from my mom, and I also get my back from my mom. So they have wide backs and thick legs. So as a guy who's getting into competitions and bodybuilding and things of that nature, that is perfect. And because I'm only 5'7.5", 5'8", whatever you want to call it, it fits my stature perfectly. So I'm short, everything is stacked, everything looks even. But if I were to say it was flip flop, I just had a decent, nice upper body, although I'm short, I still need to, well, if I was taller in this case, I would need to work on my legs because I just have nothing but upper body. Now, in the event that you have to pick something up, something where to fall, whatever the case is, you have to carry somebody. And again, this is like drastic measures of having to carry somebody. If you don't have the actual strength to do that, yes, you're going to use primarily upper body, but you still use your lower body as your base, your foundation, because that's what you're walking on. You're grounding yourself, if you caught that. So again, just on a day-to-day basis, if we're talking just general lifestyle, has nothing to really do with the gym, those are going to be some of the reasons why you want to make sure your priority is to get a fully developed body and not have muscular imbalances, because muscular imbalances also cause issues later on down the road as well too, with joint problems. If we're really going to get deep in it, that would be the core of it. But the main thing is just keeping it general. That's what I said. But when we're going more into your anatomy, yes, it's going to cause a lot more negative effects as opposed to anything beneficial to you, if that makes sense. So the next question is, what are the best workouts to do in the least amount of time? And I'm sure a lot of people already know this answer, but for those who don't, I'm going to say this very clearly. Interval training, okay? IT, not HIIT. IT, just interval training in general. And you're probably like, well, isn't that the same? They're the same in the sense of they're interval based, but the difference between just it and HIIT is the fact that high intensity interval training means that you're like going basically almost to the wall, but for shorter amounts of time. Whereas for the traditional person that's working out in the gym and doing resistance training, we can shorten the rest periods or do drop sets where there's practically almost no rest. So there's things like that you can do that are very similar that will still get the intensity high enough to where your heart, like your cardiovascular system is working, your heart itself, but it wouldn't be overwhelming or overtaxing as far as your joints. So for example, like I don't do any running at all. Like they just know that's just nah. Unless I was going to the military, you will never see me run, or unless I'm on a beach, something that's just light on my feet, which is decent on absorption for my knees. Doesn't matter what type of shoes I wear, and I might have other muscular imbalances more than likely. So with that being said, for somebody that just wants to cut time, then if you like to do resistance training, then do resistance training, but just shorten your rest periods. And you can also do things like supersets, or you can do giant sets. So superset, you would be putting together, traditionally you would be putting two muscle groups together back to back. And then usually most people will rest after that second exercise. But the thing with supersetting that gets lost is that it's usually for opposing muscle groups. So if you're going to do something like leg extension, it would be leg curl, because leg extension is, of course, going up and out, which would be for the top of your leg, as opposed to leg curls, whether it's lying down, which is prone, or seated, upright, would be from, let's say, if you're prone, it'd be from bottom up, but it's pulling from underneath. So you're still pulling. So in that case, you're working underneath. So that's how you usually do supersets. And then you would be able to cut the time that way. So what I would do, I would skip the rest in between both of those. So I would do leg extension, leg curl, bam. Maybe wait a few seconds just to make sure that I'm in a position where mentally I am ready. Physically, I feel like I'm good to go for the next whatever amount of sets, or reps more so for this next set. Then we'll be good to go. And then I would hop right back into it, back to back, and just try to get those machines. Now, that's not also always ideal, but That would be a way you could do it within the gym. Now, hit training, that's a whole nother story, because if you're doing it on a bike, a treadmill, and a lift, however you're doing it, a Stairmaster, as long as you have that one machine, that's all you need. The only thing is that you're really going to want to get that heart rate up there. And although it's for shorter amounts of time, it's still very taxing because it's so intense, because it's high intensity. So that's something you do want to be very mindful of. So for example, somebody that wants to try HIIT, I wouldn't tell them to do it every day. That is horrible for recovery. So you'll never be able to perform the exact same way that Monday on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday back to back if you're doing it every day. You have to give your time, give it some time to recover. So if you're going to do HIIT training, alternate. So I would do HIIT for lower body, then HIIT for upper body. HIIT for lower body, then HIIT for upper body. So what I like to use for upper body is primarily like battle ropes or something of that sort. So it's not taxing my legs as much. And then I can alternate in between and do it that way. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that makes a little bit more sense. So I usually like to pair my lower body day with the upper body for the HIIT, and then vice versa. Usually that ends up working out a little bit better for me. Or sometimes I'll just plug in 2 upper if it's not that taxing, and then maybe just 1 lower for the week, and then cycle and do 2 lower and then 1 upper depending on how I feel. But if I'm really trying to go super crazy on leg day, I'm probably not going to add it in. So that's something to be mindful about. Now, the next question is, why is it important to have a regular exercising schedule? And I think the main thing is accountability and making sure that you show up are going to be the main ones. Because if you have a schedule, and whether it's scheduled in your phone or whether you're scheduling to go in with a coach, whether you're scheduling to go with a friend, having a routine is going to teach you how to be disciplined, consistent, and not necessarily focused on external motivation to get you going. The schedule itself becomes a habit, which is something that you build over time. And then from there, you implement it into your lifestyle. So that habit now provides you with another source or another area where you can receive positive energy and give back to yourself, which is what I call the self-love. Okay. So that's why I think it's really important. That one's just kind of straightforward. I don't really think I have to dig into that. Now, the next one is, let me see what we got next. So the next one that we have is why your weight doesn't really matter. And this one, I'm going to keep it very simple. Unless you're doing a competition, unless you have a certain event, like for example, if you do UFC and like just MMA in general, you have to meet class weight, or you're on a team and you guys have to meet certain weight requirements based on whatever position you're in. If that's, the situation for you, then yes, the weight does matter. Now, I'm speaking generally to the population that just wants to be healthier than they are as of right now. First off, you just making that one decision, one step at a time, makes you healthier day over day, which is the best part about it. Now, as long as you feel good and as long as you look good to yourself, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Not how your spouse feels about you, not how your mom feels about you, your dad, your cousins. They don't live your life. You get what I'm saying? So you have to love yourself more than anything else. Sorry, that was my bad. If you heard that. But you have to learn how to love yourself. And yes, you can accept other people's opinion, for sure. But that should not dictate the way that you move as an individual, if that makes sense too. Because again, you don't want to necessarily live through, for example, social media and looking for likes. That's fine if that is a thing that you like, but make sure you have a purpose behind that. You're doing this because you love sharing what you do. So for example, I love sharing fitness content and things of that nature. Am I worried about likes and subscribes and stuff? Honestly, no. But I love seeing when somebody likes it because it makes me acknowledge that, okay, cool, somebody can resonate with this message. that's the whole point of it for me. You get what I'm saying? That's what hits home. That I love that. So I get 4 likes, I get 5 likes. I appreciate them like they're 400 likes and like they're 500 likes. Because again, as long as I could reach one person and make an impact, that's what makes a difference for me personally. So the weight, I don't feel like personally matters. I know I kind of went on a tangent, but the weight, it shouldn't matter as long as you look good and you feel good. That's just bottom line. Now, for some people, I know it's a little bit different. You know, you might be going through a situation where it was kind of a harder. So like people who deal with disorders in a sense of like eating disorders, that's a little bit different. In that case, again, like I said, everything that I'm telling you is just personal advice. Like I said before, let me cover my ears. And if you're able to speak to somebody, for sure, do that. Speak to them. Don't be afraid. See if they can help you out. Do as much due diligence in regards to yourself and understanding yourself and what also could possibly have triggered some of those events in the sense of how you feel. That might be a good start for you, and then finding professional help. Just saying. So the next one, it's not that I have a problem going over this one. I just don't want it to be redundant. And it's how to start working out for beginners. Let me tell y'all, it's not hard. Just start. The hardest part isn't actually working out. It's getting into the gym. That's the hardest part. Once you get in, you get into a routine. I promise you it won't be that bad. You just got to learn how to be consistent, set a realistic schedule for yourself. So come in 2 times a week, whatever works for you, 3 times a week. 1 is better than none. And progressively add in another day. Track everything that you're doing. See what works, what doesn't work for you. Apply all the information, or you can hire somebody and give them this information. And what they'll do is sit down with you and put together something that works best for you as well. Angles, y'all. Y'all got to know how to, you know what I'm saying? You got to know what to do. So that's something else to be mindful about. Now, the next one. That's interesting. These are some good questions. Okay. I had some good questions. And what I mean by good questions, other people ask questions too. So I just try to copy and paste and put them in here just so I have them ready for the podcast. So this one is kind of the same that somebody had mentioned as well. So easy workouts that can be done during your lunch break. So you could do quick little kind of like full body, just circuit training or some type of interval training usually, because circuit is going to be primarily like, you know, you have your like back to back, but it's not super high intensity. It's not crazy fatiguing, but it'll still get your heart rate up. And then you have interval training, just depending on, I mean, hey, we're talking about a lunch break. Some people's lunch break is an hour. So I can't even flex. I had a client where she had I think an hour or either hour and a half, one of them. And she used to come in a little bit early. We'd smash it for 30, 45 minutes. And then she would go get showered and then head right back to work. So it just depends on the person, because some people, if you have a longer break, then you can hit the workout. If it's not a gym nearby, that's a little bit different. Then yeah, if you have some common household items or just whatever you have near you, you could kind of incorporate that. But what I always suggest is, if you already know the situation, go ahead and go buy, like for example, resistance bands. I get mine from Tiger Fitness. I am not sponsored. Oh, that would be amazing, by the way. But what you can do is incorporate that as well too. Just pop that out of the trunk. You could still be in the office, in your office or wherever. You could go outside if you just want to get a sweat as well too. Just change your clothes completely, I would hope. And then, you know, crank it out. Because you could do squats, you could do presses, as far as, you know, shoulder presses. You can do basically everything. Everything. I've seen stuff done with resistance bands like, wow, I didn't even think about that. I'm adding that one to the toolbox. So make it work for you. But the main thing that I would say is a circuit training or some type of interval training if you have a shorter, break time. If you have a longer break time, then you could either do resistance training, or if it's more the fact of can't really leave, then if you have some resistance bands, and like I said, you could buy them from Marshalls, Ross, TJ Maxx for like $5-6. And I usually use one of them, just one of them, because it's pretty good as far as the resistance. It's like that middle ground. It's like a medium. And I'll incorporate that for a majority of my stuff. $6. I don't need a $20 membership right now, but $6 I could get something done effectively and efficiently. So something to think about. And let's see what else we got. So I don't. So okay, I see the question. So basically, this question is asking, how do you lose body fat and preserve muscle mass? So also straightforward for me to explain to you, I should say. First and foremost, understand how many calories you should be consuming in regards to whatever your goal is. So if you're trying to maintain, just documenting that for a week with like MyFitnessPal, Fat Secret, just a plethora of other apps that you can use to track week to week and see if your weight fluctuates or if it stays the same. If it stays the same, that's your maintenance to stay at that weight. If it goes up in weight, then you can say that, okay, so this is what it would take for me to go from week 1 to week 2 if I want to go up a pound, or vice versa to drop weight. Now, with that being said, once you understand that, your primary thing that you will always want to make sure of keeping a priority, like this is the absolute last thing you should never touch, is your protein. Your protein should be set at least minimum your goal weight. Okay, at least minimum your goal weight. There's a whole, like, you could do 0.5 to 0.8 grams per pound of body mass and like I could give you the scientific aspect of it, but I don't care to give that to you right now. I'm just keeping 100 with y'all. Literally, so if right now I weigh, I don't know, 188, 189. I need to be at 177 on stage. But I'm still getting a little bit higher than that because I'm coming down in weight. So I want to retain as much muscle, and I also want to get rid of as much body fat as possible. So now that's your main building block for muscle, right? With everything else, you want to be very mindful of how much weight you're losing. That's another thing I think a lot of people get messed up. Do not try to lose weight too fast. I promise you will regret it. And the fact that I was inexperienced at the time, like I tell people now, I'm slightly insecure about my arms because I have stretch marks. And it's the fact of me shooting up in weight and fluctuating in weight so quickly, the skin elasticity didn't have time to adapt to that change, is the way that I had to think about it. I was like, oh crap, okay, that makes sense. And as I'm coming back down, it's shrinking again. So the skin has been expanded rapidly, had no time to adjust. And again, this is like theory as far as like what's going through my mind right now. But we all know that's what happens. Like if you look it up, I can guarantee you, if you drop weight too fast, your skin elasticity is going to suffer. I see it all the time. See it with people who do keto, and I'm on keto right now, like a partial keto. And I mean partial keto in the sense of I only incorporate carbs before and after my meals. So basically I'm not keto, I guess you can say, but I could tell you I've done it before. I've definitely done it for a whole month. And although a month doesn't seem like a lot, but trust me, a month with balancing clients and still having to get everything done around you in a full-time job, yeah, try that. So I got a good feel for it. So the best way you would do it is to consume enough calories to at least help you reach your goal. So whether you're trying to gain weight, of course, you want to make sure you get enough calories to gain weight, and then also enough protein, which I'm saying it vice versa right now, flip-flop. In keeping enough protein to make sure that you're maintaining that muscle mass. Then from there, which you can which I would highly suggest to incorporate, is some cardiovascular, not even just for the burning the fat, but more so for your health, for your heart. So let's add a couple of years to your lifespan. And then when it comes to the cardio, you don't necessarily have to do traditional cardio. So I was telling people, like, yo, you like to play ball, you like to box, you like to swim, you like to, whatever the case is, you can incorporate all that into your plan and utilize that as your cardio, but fun cardio. So the cardio is just going to give you an extra little boost because it's also going to help you get into a caloric deficit. Now, being very mindful of the type of cardio you do as well, because if it's if it's very intense, then yes, that's also going to be something you have to think about, and in regards to taxing your body and being able to recover for your workout the following day. Okay, so that would be the way you would do that. And the last one, this is something that I came up with. Why do I feel like it's important to make sure that you take time out for yourself, and how that improves your happiness? And one, it's first and foremost, it's important to take care of yourself first. That's just a priority. You should always be a priority. You can make other things a priority, but you're always the priority. Okay? And I have a friend of mine, she had put me onto something, and Crystal was like, I saw something that tells you that, hey, create a pyramid and prioritize everything, but at the top of that pyramid always has to be you, because you have to be able to be on top of everything to make sure everything gets done. And that like blew my mind. I was just like, mind blown, Jimmy Neutron moment. And so it's true. The fact of the matter is that you have to know when to punch out and check out and just take a mental day and just focus on you and understand that it's okay to process that feeling. Right? And that's something that I'm actually working on myself. So I'm practicing what I'm preaching. So the reason why taking time out, and this could be from the gym, it could be just on vacation, whatever the case is just so you don't feel like everything is just like go, go, go. It's very linear. This is what I have to do. You don't. Switch it up sometimes. Be spontaneous. Try something new. That's how some of the best ideals are manifested. Thinking outside the box. And as you come back to the gym, as you come back from vacation, your mindset is completely different now. So if it was the opposite, it's 180. Or it just gives you a better perspective of what you're doing, and now you have a better understanding of what needs to be done moving forward. That's another perspective you could think about it. And these are reasons why I think it is very important to take time away or take time out, because even for me going through prep, and I was just like, yeah, I got it. And I had my head down. I'd have my head up, strong and focused. I had my head down. And I think that kind of made a huge impact on me mentally, so that I'm able to be more conscious of what I'm doing and how I feel immediately, and not letting outside influences kind of dictate how I move. And it's nothing negative. It's just like, people will tell you, yeah, you got this, you can go, and you feed off of that. But for me, I'm like, bro, nah, I'm checked out, homie. My body like, yo, D, this ain't it. We got to stop right now, take some time off, reevaluate, and then approach whatever your goal is with a plan, and not just shooting aimlessly. So that's something you want to think about. But guys, listen, we've come to the end, and usually I give you my trainer's tips, but I kind of just incorporated them, as you could see already, as questions that I was going to give you answers to. Once again, I'd like to thank you all so much just for tapping in with me. If you could share, like, comment, subscribe, share it to a friend, and we will be catching up next week for episode 5. So you guys stay tuned. Talk to you soon.